My legs gave out and I collapsed onto the pavement, gasping like I'd been underwater for minutes. My heart slammed against my ribs and my skin burned with pins and needles as sensation returned. I staggered to my feet, looking around wildly, trying to convince myself I'd imagined it. The smell of cold still lingered. The echo of his voice still rattled inside my head. "I've been waiting for you." It was real. I knew it was real. And yet, without proof, I couldn't make anyone believe me. Not even myself. I made it home somehow. Locked every door, checked every window twice. But sleep didn't come. How could it? I'd seen something that shouldn't exist. Heard a voice that didn't belong to any human throat. Lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, I realized something worse than fear had taken root inside me. Curiosity. Because if he'd been waiting for me, then I wasn't the only one. Sleep became impossible after that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I'd see him leaning in, hear that gravelly voice saying, "I've been waiting for you." So I did what any sane, rational adult would do. Yeah, right. I buried myself in research. Google searches at first. Man smiling at night. Urban legend creepy grin. Pages of fluff memes. Reddit threads retelling the same story like campfire gossip. The infamous smiling man post on our NoSleep kept coming up, written like fiction but described too well to feel made up. That was the version everyone knew. Guy walking home at night, stalked by a smiling stranger who danced under the streetlight. Scary? Sure. But it was just a story. I wanted more. No, I needed more. So I dug deeper. Past the clickbait, past the jokes. I ended up in corners of the internet that smell like mildew even through the screen. Shady forums with black backgrounds and glitchy gifs of skulls. Half-abandoned message boards where usernames like Watcher88 and Liminal God traded grainy photos and breathless speculation. And yeah, I became that guy. The one refreshing threads at 3 a.m., eyes burning, muttering to himself. I could practically feel my sanity slipping with every page not found error. At one point, I caught myself whispering, "This is fine, totally fine," which, let's be honest, is the opposite of fine. But then, the pattern started to form. Police reports, half-scrubbed from archives but mirrored on conspiracy sites. Words like unexplained disappearance and no signs of forced entry. Always late at night. Always in walking distance of a street lamp. Witnesses describing a man too thin, smiling too wide, who never blinked. And it wasn't new. Not by a long shot. I found a folklore blog, buried under years of dead links, that mentioned an entity in old European tales, the Grinning Watcher. He'd stand at crossroads after dark, watching travelers with a smile too big for his face. Some called him a demon. Others, a guardian who'd long since gone rotten. Different names, different centuries, but the same description. The smile. Always the smile. Scrolling further, someone had posted clippings from newspapers dated as far back as the 1940s. Local reports, scattered across states, never picked up nationally. But the stories lined up. A strange man spotted loitering, described as peculiar, constantly grinning. In one, a teenage boy disappeared, walking home. His friend claimed a man had followed them, smiling the whole time. The cops chalked it up to hysteria. That's when I saw it. A grainy black and white photo attached to one of the old articles. A group of people outside a diner, smiling for the camera. At first glance, nothing unusual. Until my eyes locked on the figure in the far back, half in shadow. Tall, thin, grinning. And it wasn't just a grin, it was the grin. The exact same twisted curve I'd seen under the streetlight. The exact same vacant eyes. The photo was dated 1952, and he hadn't aged a day. My blood turned to ice. I slammed my laptop shut, as if that could unsee what I'd just seen. I sat there in the glow of my desk lamp, heart racing, every nerve in my body screaming that I was in way too deep. This wasn't just an internet story, not just folklore, not even just me. He'd been here, For decades, maybe centuries, watching, waiting, smiling. I told myself I'd stop, that I'd shut it all down, delete my search history, move on with my life. But obsession is a tricky thing. Once you peel back the first layer, you can't stop digging, no matter how much rot you uncover. And maybe that's why it happened next. Because the night after I found that photo, he found me again. It happened on a night I should have stayed inside. After everything I'd dug up, after seeing that photograph, after convincing myself he wasn't just a story, I should have locked my doors, turned off the lights, and never looked outside again. But sometimes it doesn't matter what you should do. Sometimes you get pulled into the dark whether you like it or not. I remember it clearly. My phone buzzed around midnight. No name on the screen, just a message. Come outside. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would anyone actually listen to that? Believe me, I asked myself the same question later, when it was too late. But in that moment, my body moved like it belonged to someone else. My hands were shaking as I grabbed my jacket. My feet carried me to the door like I was on autopilot. It felt less like curiosity and more like compulsion, like something inside me was dragging me out. The street was silent, too silent. No cars, no wind, not even the buzz of the old power lines, just the hollow echo of my own footsteps as I stepped onto the pavement. And then, there he was, the smiling man, closer than ever before. He wasn't across the street this time. He wasn't lurking under a distant lamp. He was standing halfway down the block, directly in the cone of light from a flickering streetlight. His grin stretched impossibly wide, his lips trembling slightly like it hurt to hold the expression, but he refused to let it slip. "Are you lost?" I heard myself whisper, the same stupid question I'd asked the first time. He didn't answer. He never answered with words. Instead, his body twitched, like a puppet string had been yanked. He took a step forward, then another. Then, his feet began to move in that strange, jerky rhythm, like a parody of a dance. A shuffle, a sway, a sudden sharp lurch that carried him closer in unnatural bursts of movement. I froze. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but my legs felt like they were filled with wet sand. The smiling man tilted his head, the grin unbroken, and then he stilled, completely motionless. Too still. His chest didn't rise, his eyes didn't blink. It was like watching a paused video. Then he snapped forward. 1 second he was yards away, the next he was only a few feet in front of me. I stumbled back, my voice cracking into a pathetic scream. He didn't lunge. He didn't touch me. He just stood there, head tilted, grin wider, as if savoring my terror like a fine wine. That was when the sound started. A low hum, like someone tuning an old radio, vibrating in my ears. It rose in pitch, morphing into something almost like laughter, but hollow, distorted, not entirely human. The sound crawled down my spine, and I knew if I stayed there another second, I'd break. So I ran. I don't even remember turning. I was just suddenly sprinting, lungs burning, heart pounding like it wanted to punch through my ribs. The streets blurred. My vision tunneled. Every time I risked a glance over my shoulder, I saw him. Not running, not even walking in any normal sense. Just appearing closer, jerking forward in broken bursts, that grin locked in place. I cut corners, vaulted fences, tore through alleys I'd never dared walk before. Still, no matter how far I pushed myself, he was there. Always at the edge of the light, always watching, always smiling. At one point, I slipped on wet asphalt and went down hard, skin tearing open across my palm and knees. The pain was sharp, real, proof this wasn't a dream. My body screamed at me to stop, but the image of his face inches away forced me back up. Blood smeared down my arm as I staggered forward, limping now, lungs raw from the cold night air. Finally, I don't know how, I made it back to my apartment. I slammed the door shut, locked it, then shoved a chair under the handle for good measure. My chest heaved, my ears rang. I pressed my back against the wall, half expecting him to phase through it like a ghost. He didn't come in. But when I dared peek through the blinds, I saw him across the street, standing in the glow of the streetlight. Not chasing anymore, just watching, grinning. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't sleep the night after either. Every creak of the building made me jolt. Every shadow stretched too long. My cuts festered, my body ached, and the paranoia dug deeper every hour I stayed awake. That was the night I understood something I'd been trying not to admit since the beginning. You can't outrun him. You can't outsmart him. Because the smiling man doesn't just follow you. He waits. He watches. He wears you down until you break. And that's when I realized running wouldn't save me. Paranoia turned me into a hermit, but obsession kept me reaching out. After weeks of combing through message boards, scanning half-forgotten blogs, and piecing together fragments of folklore, I finally found someone. Or maybe he found me. His username was Old Eyes, one of those accounts that had been lurking on obscure forums for over a decade, posting in erratic bursts before disappearing for years at a time. He messaged me after I'd shared my own encounter. The reply was short, almost casual. "You've seen him. We should talk." We met in a diner at the edge of town, a place that smelled of stale coffee and burnt toast, the kind of spot where no one asks questions if you sit in the corner too long. He was older than I expected, maybe late 60s, skin leathery, eyes watery and red-rimmed like he hadn't slept in years. His hands shook as he stirred his coffee, though he never actually drank it. "You think he's just a man?" he rasped, leaning close so the waitress couldn't hear. "He isn't. He's a phenomenon, a curse. He's not one, he's many." I must have looked confused because he chuckled bitterly. "Don't you get it? That grin's older than you, older than me, older than the internet. Every culture has a story. The grinning watcher, the painted smile, the hollow jester. Different names, same face." I told him about the photo I'd found from the 1950s. His lips twitched into something like pity. "Kid, I've seen drawings from the 1800s. Same suit, same grin. He doesn't change because he doesn't have to." The diner seemed to grow colder as he spoke, the clink of silverware fading into static. "He shows up when you acknowledge him. That's the first rule. You see him, you give him attention, you let your fear feed him, then you're marked. That smile isn't just an expression, it's a hook. It sinks into your memory, your nerves, your dreams, and once it's there, you can't shake it." I asked the obvious question. "How do you stop him?" Old Eyes laughed, a dry, humorless sound. "You don't? You think no one's tried? Guns, knives, fire? Doesn't matter. He's not flesh, he's echo. He doesn't bleed. He doesn't break. He thrives. The only reason I'm still breathing is because I learned the rules." My throat tightened. "What rules?" "Don't engage. Don't follow. Don't talk back." His gaze fixed on mine, sharp and desperate. "You slipped already, didn't you? You asked him if he was lost. You spoke to him." The air seemed to vanish from the room. My mouth went dry. "That's why he won't let go," Old Eyes whispered. "He has you now. He'll keep getting closer until there's nowhere left to run. And the cruelest part? The more you tell this story, the more ears that hear it, the more doors he can walk through." He pushed back his chair suddenly, the legs screeching against tile. "I shouldn't have even met you. I'm too old to be starting this cycle again." He stood, dropped a few bills on the table, and left without looking back. I sat there for a long time, staring at his untouched coffee, heart hammering like I'd been branded with some invisible mark. When I finally stumbled home, I kept replaying his words. He isn't one, he's many. The smile is a hook. He thrives on fear, and maybe the worst of all. By telling this story, you're inviting him in. I shouldn't be saying this out loud. I shouldn't be putting it into words. But you need to know what I know now. Because if the curse spreads through acknowledgement, then by listening to me, by picturing that smile in your head right now, you've invited him too. I knew it had to end. The nights had stretched too long, my mind unraveling thread by thread. Sleep was a memory. My body was a wreck of tremors, cuts, and bruises. But none of that mattered anymore, because I could feel it, the inevitability. He wasn't going to stop, he never stops. So I made a choice. If the smiling man was going to take me, then it would be on my terms. No more running, no more hiding behind locked doors and trembling curtains. I'd face him. The night was damp and heavy with fog, the kind that muffles sound and blurs distance. Streetlights glowed faint halos in the mist. I walked down the middle of the street, every step deliberate, my heartbeat a drum in my ears. And then, as if summoned, he was there. Not far this time, not lurking in shadows, standing dead center under a streetlight, waiting for me. The grin was wider than ever, splitting his face like a wound. His body twitched, a marionette jerk tugged by invisible strings. One step, a lurch, a tilt of the head. Every movement was wrong, broken, yet purposeful. I stopped. We stood locked in that silence, two figures suspended in the fog. My throat felt raw, but I forced myself to speak. "What do you want from me?" For a moment, nothing. Then, he laughed. It wasn't loud. It wasn't human. It was a vibration that seemed to crawl through the fog, slithering into my ears and bones. His lips didn't move, but the sound poured out, jagged and endless. And then, words, whispered, but sharp enough to cut. "You already know." My knees buckled. Because he was right. I did know. Old eyes had said it. The smile is a hook. The curse spreads through acknowledgement. And I'd acknowledged him again and again, by looking, by speaking, by telling the story. The fog pressed tighter, the world shrinking until it was just me and him. His movements grew faster, jerks and spasms that carried him closer and closer and closer. That grin inches away from my face, filling my vision, drowning me in its impossible stretch. I wanted to run. I wanted to scream. But instead, I smiled back. The moment I did, everything stopped. The fog stilled. The laughter cut off. The smiling man froze, head tilted like a predator surprised by prey that bares its teeth. For the first time, his grin faltered. Only for a heartbeat. But I saw it. And in that heartbeat, I realized something terrible. Maybe that was the point all along. Maybe the only way to survive him is to become him. The world snapped. Darkness folded over me like a curtain dropping on a stage. When I woke, if it was waking, I was standing under a streetlight. My body didn't feel like my own. My lips hurt, stretched wide, trembling with the weight of a grin that wouldn't fade. And in the distance, I saw movement. Someone walking home late, head down, lost in thought. I wanted to scream, to warn them, to beg them to run. But the only sound that came out of my throat was laughter. Maybe I escaped. Maybe I didn't. Maybe that's the cruelest truth about the smiling man. He doesn't kill you. He consumes you. And then you wear the smile for him. So if you see someone grinning too wide in the dark tonight, standing just beyond the circle of the streetlight, run. So that's my story. At least that's how much of it I'm willing to tell you right now. And I know some of you are probably thinking, come on, it's just an urban legend. Just a creepy story for the internet. But let me ask you something. Have you ever walked home at night, felt the hair rise on your neck, and caught a glimpse of someone standing just a little too still? Someone smiling when no one else should be? Because if you have, you already know he's real. Here's the part where I usually say, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. But honestly, that feels almost insulting right now. Because this isn't just a story you consume and walk away from. The smiling man feeds on acknowledgement. That's what the old survivor told me. The second you notice him, he notices you. So, by listening this far, you've already made yourself visible. Now, I don't know what he is. Is he human? A demon? A curse that's been passed through generations of whispered warnings? I'll leave that up to you to decide. I've read theories in old police archives, folklore blogs, even deep web threads that would make your skin crawl. Some say he's older than written language. Others claim he's just a man who saw something so horrible that his face got stuck in that grin, and now he's doomed to spread it like a disease. What do you think? Drop your theories in the comments. Is he a ghost? A trick of the brain? Or something worse that we don't even have words for? And if you thought this was bad, wait until you hear about the Laughing Boy case. That one makes the smiling man feel almost merciful. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss it. But for now, here's my last warning to you. If you're walking home tonight and you see someone smiling in the dark, don't stop. Don't wave. Don't even acknowledge them. Just run. And I'll update you soon if I survive long enough to hit record again.